Alright, welcome to the channel. Mo Saeed Fitness Coaching here. In this video, we are going to talk about the most common problems entrepreneurs and busy professionals face when they're trying to lose weight. Yeah, the most common problems and how you can overcome these problems. Okay, so let's get into it. First thing, let's say your goal is, which is a very common goal, is to lose 20 to 30 kilos. Yeah, or another goal might be is to get sub 10%, to get below 10% body fat. Yeah. Now, what are the main problems that you go through when you're trying to achieve these goals? Yeah. Well, one problem could be consistency, being consistent with your diet. That's one of the most common problems we have. Second problem is not knowing how to overcome the problems that arise during the journey. That's another one. That's another problem. That's why you see many people start, but then halfway through they actually quit because usually a problem comes up and then they don't have a solution for the problem. They just give up and they just go back to their old ways. Yeah, that's also a very, very common problem that we see. Now let's focus on these problems, since these problems are the most common problems you face. Okay, so how can you overcome these problems? Yeah, how can you overcome these problems so that you can get to your goal as fast as possible and you can lose the weight, get the result that you want, and maintain it. Yeah. Okay. Before we get into it, let's talk about what's the stages that you go through as an entrepreneur, as a busy professional, when you're trying to lose weight and you're trying to get to your goal. What are the different stages that you go through? So the first stage you go through is the process. Yeah. Process is basically when you're dieting, when you start to exercise, when you start to do 10K steps, when you start to, you know, increase your water levels, sleep 8 hours, whatever, the process. The thing that will get you to the goal. That's the first thing you need to do. Yeah, that's the first thing anyone needs to do to get to the goal. To set a goal for yourself, you have to go through the process. Once you go through the process and you achieve the goal that you want, you have to solidify this goal. You have to solidify this result. Yeah. Here, usually you might spend anything between 1, 2 months. Here, anything between 3 to 6 months. Sorry for my bad handwriting. I'm a righty, but never mind. So, once you spend 3 to 6 months getting to your goal, you have to solidify your result, which takes another 1 to 2 months. And then once you solidify the result, you go on to the lifestyle solution. We'll talk about that later, but that's basically when this becomes your lifestyle, when it becomes part of your life. When exercising and eating clean food and going to the gym is just something that you do on autopilot. But that's not the topic for today. That's for another topic. Let's talk about these two right here, because it's here where most people, most entrepreneurs, most busy professionals struggle. They struggle here. Here is sort of easy when you get here, just maintain it. But here is the challenge. Yeah. Now, okay. During the process, what do you have to have during the process to be able to get to the result? Well, you need to have guidelines. Yeah, you need to have guidelines for your diet. You need to have guidelines for your training. You need to have guidelines for what you do when you're out, when you're out with friends, when you're traveling, so on and so forth. Guidelines, or what we may call non-negotiables. Yeah. So let's say guidelines. Yeah, you need to have guidelines. Yeah, during the process. These are the guidelines. Is what's going to get you to the goal. Yeah. So it can be, for example, 10K steps a day. Yeah. It can be working out 3 to 4 times gym. It can be I don't know, 4 meals, eating 4 healthy meals a day. Yeah. It can be drinking 3 to 4 liters. Yeah. These are the guidelines. These are the things you need to do throughout the week, throughout the process to get to your desired result, and you have to do it consistently. Now, these are the guidelines is sort of what helps you achieve the result that you want, achieve the goal, achieve that lean body that you want, a sub 10% body fat, be able to lose 30 kilos. You have to really stick to the guidelines, and sticking to that is essentially just going to get you to the result. Amazing, perfect. Now, during the process, as we mentioned, people go through problems. Yeah, people go through sort of obstacles, maybe some mistakes. Yeah. So, for example, you've been dieting for 2 weeks. This is a common problem I see with many professionals and entrepreneurs that I do consultation calls with. They tell me, look, I started diet for 2, 3 weeks, but then I quit. Something comes up like a problem. I gave it away. One day I went out to a party, or one day I went out to an event, and I just ate whatever, and I just gave up. Yeah. So an obstacle arose, and this problem caused them to not follow the diet, to not follow the guidelines, and then they just give up. Okay. Now, that's the problem here. Yeah. So when a mistake comes, when an obstacle arises, people usually give up, but that's not the time to give up. Actually, it's very, very normal that throughout your journey you got to think. Process is 3 to 6 months. You're gonna go through some obstacles. You're gonna go through some problems. There's gonna be times where you're on the low. There's gonna be times where you're not getting results. Yeah, but how can you overcome that? That's what really matters. Yeah, it's not about quitting. If you quit, that's it. It's done. You're not gonna get no more results. But it's essentially about solving this problem that you went through, or overcoming this obstacle. And how do you do that? You reinforce your guidelines. You go back to the guidelines. Yeah. So let's say you set the guidelines for the first 3 weeks. You're following these guidelines, and they become like part of your day, autopilot. You're doing them. You can overcome the problem. What most people do is they quit. Essentially, what you have to do is you have to go back to the guidelines, reinforce them, yeah, rewrite them, recommit to them. Sit down, have a sheet of paper. What are my guidelines? These are my guidelines. How can I refine them even more, so that when an obstacle arises, or when a problem arises, how can I be ready for that? And you're gonna be ready for that through your guidelines, yeah, or your non-negotiables. Some people call them non-negotiables, or your guidelines, or rules, or whatever. It doesn't matter what it is, but you have to reinforce them. This is your anchor to get into your result. This is your compass to get into your result. And whenever, let's say you have a cruise, a boat, a ship, you're traveling in the sea, you get lost. What do? You go back to the compass. You look at the compass, you see what direction you're in, and then you go and you get back to the right course. And these guidelines are essentially what's going to help you to get back on the right course. So this is how you overcome your problems. Simple as that. Overcome your problems through the process. Now, sometimes you don't even have problems. Sometimes you just go through dips. You're feeling low. You're dieting for 3 months. You're tired. You're exhausted. You don't want to do this anymore. You get a dip. Yeah, you get either a dip in motivation, or a dip in not want, or just not feeling like you want to do it. Well, do you quit? You've been doing it for 3 months. Why would you want to quit? The best, if you have a goal in mind, if you've set a goal in your head, why would you quit after 3 months? So how can you overcome this dip? How can you overcome these problems? You go back to the guidelines. You reinforce the guidelines. You rewrite them. You restructure them. You just, you sort of recommit to them. Because this essentially is what's going to help you. This is essentially what's going to help you get you to the goal. Yeah? Now let's say you get to the goal. Yeah? You've gone to the goal. You've finished the dieting. You finished everything, and now you've gone to you're solidifying your results. Now this is a place where a lot of people struggle as well. A lot of my clients are people who are in this stage, who have dieted for 3 months, they've lost the weight, but then they lose all their results because they feel like, okay, I've been following these guidelines for 3 months now. What do I do now? Okay, let me go enjoy myself. I'll get back to it later. They forget about the guidelines and they think, okay, I'll just get back to whatever I'm doing, and they lose all the results that they built here. Yeah? So let's say you've got 100%, you reached 100% of your result here. Yeah? When they get here, they start getting dips in their results. They may get down to 80%, and then that discourages them, and they go down again to 60%, and so on and so forth. Yeah? Until they lose all their results, and sometimes they go back to where they started. Trust me, I've been there. Yeah, I've been there. I've actually went through the journey, went through the process, got my result, and then I blew it all away, going on holiday, eating whatever I want, not following any guidelines, not following anything, just going all about, mixing ice cream with peanut butter and cheesecake, putting some bread in it. I was going, I lost everything. I went back. I started at worse. I was in a worse position than when I started. Yeah. So very important. You solidify your results. Now, how do you solidify your results? You reinforce your guidelines. You go back here all the time. Yeah? You reinforce your guidelines. You rewrite your guidelines, and you structure them they may not be the same. They may be different, but that doesn't matter. You still need to have guidelines, because here is the most important time, solidifying your result. You've spent 3-4 months getting the result. It's so important now that you actually solidify it. You make this result part of you, and you're not gonna just be able to do that by winging it. You're not gonna wing it. You're gonna need to have a set of guidelines, a set of non-negotiables. You have to reinforce it. You have to sit down again and go through it again. And once you reinforce them, once you solidify the results, then the results are yours. Then this result becomes part of you. And once they become part of you, then you reach the next level, which is the lifestyle solution. And then this becomes part of your day. You don't have to think about it. These guidelines now become something that they're part of your day-to-day life. And whatever problem arises on this stage, whatever obstacle you go through, you know what to do. You know how you should overcome them. So that's generally how you can overcome the problems and the obstacles when it comes to dieting, when it comes to exercise, when it comes to training, when it comes to trying to stick to a journey when you're away. And essentially, from my experience and my personal experience of many of my clients, this is how you can overcome your obstacles. This is how you can overcome your problems. Now, I hope this has been helpful. I hope this has been valuable. This has given you a little idea into what you can do to excel when it comes to dieting, when it comes to training. Now, if you're a professional, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're someone who is trying to transform their body, you're trying to transform your life, you're trying to transform your lifestyle, and you don't know where to start, you don't know what to do, and you want an expert by your side to show you step by step how you can get there in a proven way, so that you constantly get results without sacrificing your time for your business, for your commitments, for your family, then feel free to reach out to me. Feel free to send me a message. I'll be more than happy to talk to you. I'll be more than happy to discuss things in more detail with you. I reply to every single message. I have a small channel and I have a small Instagram page. By the way, here's my Instagram page as well. If you guys want it, you can go and give it a follow. Yeah, I reply to every single message. I have a small channel, so feel free to message me. Or you can go to my website, Mo Saeed Fitness Coaching. There you can submit an application, fill out. It's a very short application. Take you 2 minutes to fill that out. Finish it off, send it to me, and then we'll get in contact with you within 48 hours and see exactly how we can help you in your specific situation. I hope this has been helpful. Have a great week, everyone. Mo Saeed Fitness Coaching.